Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today, episode 88, second episode of Q4. We'll do a full Q4 episode in the coming weeks as well. But we got my man Jared. I'm not going to try to say his last name. Scuds on Twitter, right? Jared Scuds.
I actually changed it just to my full name. Yeah. So it's Jared.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
even. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
well,
so
yeah,
it's Jared Kamick.
Sweet. Okay, there we go. Cool. So
Yep.
yeah, full-time online arbitrage seller. Nice story over the last year or so in terms of quitting your job and such like that. So we want to talk about all that. Some of the getting your margin down strategies you have, I know, and stuff. So want to tell us kind of who you are, how you got into Amazon, everything like that?
Yeah. So before I started on Amazon, I was a musician. I was working in a high school during the day as a pianist, and then just taking whatever jobs I could, weddings, bars, musicals, whatever, just to kind of get by, working a lot of hours to make not a ton of money. And I'd been trying for for maybe a year. I tried like Facebook ads agency. I tried drop shipping. Yeah, neither of those turned out well for me. Couldn't get either of those going. But then I started saw about online arbitrage, reselling and stuff. Miles, I think I saw like a tweet from you. It's like you were like, oh yeah, none of these other side hustles or whatever worked for me. And then I did.
Those are the most platitudey BS, but they get a lot of engagement because it's
yeah. And then this worked. So I started selling used books, Goodwill, stuff like that. Learn the process. And then in probably September of 2021, I did Oliver Flipps's coaching program. Did that for like 3 months, and that kind of helped me get off the ground, learn the basics and learn everything about OA, and then kind of feel like I really started getting the hang of it in January, February. I kind of missed out on the Q4 rush of last year, so I'm stoked for it this year. And been kind of going ever since. And I quit my job in May, at the end of the school year in 2022, and I'm loving doing OA full time. So
before we get into like the technical aspects of obviously the whole Amazon discussion, let's focus on the whole quitting your job perspective, because I think that's a part that can really relate to a lot of the audience. In the coming weeks and months of you really deciding and making that leap, what sort of analysis were you doing? What sort of data were you looking at to say, okay, this is the good decision, let's do it?
Yeah, for me, it was, looking at like my monthly expenses, right? How much I was bringing in from my job, and looking at, can I keep doing OA? Can I keep putting money back into the business from that profit while taking, that chunk out that I can live off of, that I can pay my expenses and stuff, because I still wanted to keep growing the OA business, reinvesting that profit, while at the same time paying my bills. And for me, like I still make a little money on the side doing some music gigs and stuff like that. So that helps. That helps just so I can keep putting more money into the.
I'm sure you charge differently now that you're more business minded. You choose different things like it.
Yeah. It's not taking everything. It's what's worth my time. So for sure.
Had to be nerve-wracking though, no?
Yeah, it was. But honestly, I didn't stress about it too much. I was just like, I'm gonna make it work. Like I really want to do this. I'm ready to go full time and kind of have that freedom. So yeah.
And you're never what sort of less responsibility than you have now, most likely.
What's that?
If you're never going to have less responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah.
Than you have
exactly.
Now.
So now is like the time to do it. I know, little risky, but also like I feel good about it. So yeah.
What was some of the feedback you received from family, friends, significant others, etc.?
Yeah. So for example, like my mom at first, she was a little skeptical just of the whole thing, but after she saw, me actually started getting sales, making money, like she kind of understood and was all for it. Had some other family that was like, you quitting your job, it's safe, like you might end up back living with your mom, like, and just skeptical that I was gonna make it work, I guess, because I mean, you know, these are older people. They don't really understand like that you actually can make money online. It's kind of like a foreign concept to, you know, people of the previous generation.
And just for perspective, how old are you right now?
I'm 27.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super young. Yeah, so now is definitely the time to do it on that stuff. And they just want what's best for you, obviously, on stuff.
Yeah.
And people are scared of the unknown. Like the brain's like made for survival, you know, on stuff. So people are so afraid of like not knowing the outcome of something and everything.
Yeah, but I, you know, some really supportive friends that were like stoked for me. Super excited. So
and it's being in the Twitter space too, you see other people that are doing it. You know,
exactly.
And that's big too. And that's why, like, you know, so many people, right? Now, I don't know how long you've been between. I know it's been at least like, you know, 5 or 6 months since we met. Such.
Yeah.
When you start to meet people, right now we have that crew we stream. It's been like probably like 3 out of the past 4 Friday nights we've streamed and such. Good little, you know, group we chat with and everything on that. And then like, how's it time management wise? Does it seem it's a big shift in terms of it's been a struggle?
Yeah, at first it was a little bit of struggle. Like honestly, yeah, I ended up having all this time and maybe got a little lazy, a little distracted, you know, the first month or so being just being fully free and like thinking that I'm using my time well, but then realizing like, oh, I spent this time, you know, just scrolling my phone or like being productive when I thought I was, you know, working, but I wasn't really doing anything. So like the last few months, I've really focused on just like every single day having a list of, you know, the night before I'll make what I want to get done. You know, put it on like a whiteboard. I love using a whiteboard and then just going through that list, crossing things off, making sure I'm getting everything done that I want to get done. So.
Yeah, dude, the self-regulation part is like might be the hardest part. And it's not for now on stuff and everything, but like, you know, and it's also too like speaking like very egotistically, like even making like 6 figures in this stuff, like after a few years, like you can fucking do it. Like you can do it after a few years. I'm in general to someone listening, right? Like you very much can do. We've all done it on stuff and we'll continue to and everything. But like the self-regulation part's big because you're thinking like, you know, the people who are doing the best typically, right, or you know 100K 150K whatever, like you can totally do that with this stuff after a few years of like really giving a shit about making money online. Like it's not instantly, a few years of really caring about it. Like everyone I know from like 2 years ago 3 years ago that's still doing it is making that type of money, because if you stick with something long enough you get pretty good at it, right? And the self-regulation part, just keep going and think like, okay, I'm doing really good by like the typical standards of stuff, but I can do so much more. Like, it's very hard to make yourself do that, but then like your brain expands and like you also just like stop caring a lot about like things in the outside world that don't matter at all, like not commuting somewhere and not hearing about the gossip of whatever acting. Like you end up focusing on your priorities a lot more, which end up compounding your results too. And it's all so early. I mean, we're all like 3-4, you know, sub 3-4 years into this and everything on that. And I like this tweet you put out last week, is owning a business. One day you think you're the second coming of Jeff Bezos. The next day you're Googling how to file for bankruptcy. Highs and lows. Oh, that's facts.
Dude,
That's
it's so true. Yeah.
Especially with leverage involved in and such.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, now's the time to do it. You know, like the math makes sense on stuff. Like if there was ever a time to do it, now would be the time to do it.
Yeah, for sure. With using leverage, like it can be a little scary, you know,
right.
Those
but
balances.
And
just like recently I've started doing a lot of merchant fulfilling just to really turn over stuff quickly. And I slept on it in you know, August back to school.
I told you to do it. I
know I wasn't doing any but yeah, now I'm stoked for it. I'm ready to hit it hard come December, you know. And I can just see how fast things move, how fast you can test items. You know, you get feedback so quickly and reorder it.
Tweet that. That literally that sentence ideal. Like that was a good 3-line tweet.
Yeah.
Feeling much quicker. Get something listed, test something like that is good.
Yeah, I'll do something like that. Yeah. So I'm loving it. Yeah.
And so you're in Nebraska, right? So we have to be the only podcast in the US that's not a Nebraska centric podcast that out of sub 100 episodes has had 3 people from Nebraska.
Jeez, 3 people. Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Who's the third?
Phil.
He lives in
Okay.
Nebraska. Oh yes, because
Yeah,
he told us a
remember
story about Tony. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
that's
mad funny.
Nebraska boys representing. Let's
I
go.
guess, man. Yeah.
There's only about 100 of them, so I'm
Oh
enthused.
yeah, we've
Yeah,
already
right.
we're knocking out a decent size of the
Yeah, we
population.
got yeah.
Going back to the Q4 point, do you have any specific strategies or different tactics that you're going to be executing on coming in the next couple months, or is it just business as usual?
It's mostly business as usual, except for the fact that like I'm going to be doing a lot of merchant fulfilling. Yeah, just a lot of merchant fulfilling. Just
Make
because I see
sure.
how. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Just because I see how fast things can turn over, and to getting that capital, because like I'm more like I have so much stuff I want to buy, but not enough capital to buy it all. So I'm trying to stock up on capital as much as possible. Yeah.
This is for you and obviously every other listener that's going to be merchant fulfilling in the coming months, right? Make sure you have your shipping templates established, right? Because you will be shocked and kicking yourself if you don't take advantage of it, of how much people will pay for urgency and for quicker shipping, the week before Thanksgiving, the week before Christmas, and especially like the giftable items that we always talk about, like those people will pay astronomical amounts just to have them at their house in 2-3 days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make my expedited $20 right now on it.
I set mine at like 30 just because I didn't really want to do it, and I've had a couple people pay for it, and it's like
That's what I'm saying. Like you will be shocked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make
Because
it
the
like
last thing you want to do.
so it looks irregular.
What's up?
2150. Make it like 2150 or
okay.
25. So it looks like it's their specific situation, not that it's just some dickhead.
Oh yeah, okay, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
Because the last thing, and we've all been there, right? If you've done this for any amount of time, the last thing you want to do is have someone buy expedited shipping, but then buying the shipping label is more expensive than you charge the customer for the shipping, which is super annoying.
Yeah.
But anyways, kind of getting back into your specific business. Obviously, you started with the books, right? Take us through that transition with, just doing books, going out and scanning, and starting to kind of then peel off into the OA space and how you built that up.
Yeah. So after that, I kind of had this idea that OA was like toys, all toys. I see people talking about Legos and stuff like that. So, and this was, November, December. Started doing a lot of toys, but I was shopping a lot at, Target, Walmart, Walgreens, these basic stores, and everything I was buying would tank, man. Like, so my margins were, I wasn't getting the profit that I wanted. And from there I started kind of trying to switch into the more like niche sites, niche beauty sites, just these smaller sites that not as many people are shopping from. But then I had the problem of order cancellations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dig in on that.
We can
You get it very tactical on the time. I'm super down to.
We can jam out for 8 hours straight about order cancellations specifically.
Yeah, let's dive in on that. What remedies did you have, if any, for specific sites?
Well, the biggest one was Miles. After I had a call with you, you're like, dude, just like ignore the stores that are going to cancel you all the time. Like focus on the stores that let you order volume and that let you order in the first place. Like some don't even let you order. So focused on that. But then there are some stores that it's just like, man, I really want to figure this out. There's some gems here. Like if I can just get around the order cancels, it'd be pretty great. So like, and it really depends on the store. There's one beauty retailer that I found out I can only order six at a time of an item, which is annoying. But when it's like $60 or $70 buy cost, like I'm good for it. And
exactly. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
And I can order like as much in a day as possible as I want, but make a new account every single time with the catch-all email, use PayPal, jig the address, just jig my name. I'm sending it to the prep center, so it still has to look like my name, but it can't be the exact same name. So just finding different ways to spell your name.
And you have to do this for every order?
Yeah.
But if it's an $1,000 order, it's worth it.
It takes like, and it's pretty quick. It takes like 5 minutes in order, once you get it. So it's like,
$100 for every 5 minutes. I can handle.
And it's yeah, and it's a really good ASIN. So yeah, it's at this point for me, it's definitely worth it. And like, yeah, like it really depends on the retailer. Some retailers don't let me order unless I have my VPN turned on. Even though most don't like the VPN, there's like 2 or 3 that like I need that on. So it's just like testing as many variables as possible with one retailer. I try and like keep track. If I really want to order from that retailer, I try and keep track of like what variables I used on each order to figure out the perfect way to order from them.
And I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? And a lot of this stuff just comes with experience, right? Feeling out different websites, obviously, like you pointed out, trying different things. But the biggest thing, right, is don't get too like romantic about a specific site, right?
Yeah.
Like Target, for example, doesn't do me any good if I can find really good items at Target, but if I could only buy one at a time with the threat of that one even getting canceled, it doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
You're better off putting your time sourcing elsewhere. So
yeah, 100% of your time elsewhere.
And it's a skill. Like you can't just be a one-trick pony on. Like say like Nike got shut down for whatever reason. Like sure, it would suck for like a month, but our skill translates outside of like cleaning up lost inventory or like inventory that you couldn't sell. What I was selling it to eBay people, which even then would be profitable, definitely. Like it'd be a pain in the ass, but it'd be very and the cash flow cycle would be really good. On that. It's like the skill translates, right? Like the digging through coupons, the gift cards. Can you talk on the gift card side of things? Because I don't mention that as much as I should have. You like put out some really good stuff about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I usually try and use discount gift cards whenever a store accepts them, essentially. And if I can get them, like if I can only get 2% off, like it's not really worth my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, some places will be 5, 10, even 15% discount gift cards. And let's see. It does get a little messy when you're dealing with order cancels and stuff like that. So I've learned, like, the more I've used them, the more I've learned that you have to be really organized with them. You know, have a spreadsheet with all your gift cards, the order numbers that you used, you know, that gift card with, because I've found myself looking back and having thousands of dollars worth of gift cards that were either from canceled orders or that I just forgot about, you know? So you really got to track those. Let's see. And then just like focusing on using gift cards on stores that you know will not cancel. Like if I'm testing out a new store or something and I can use a gift card, I really don't, just because I don't want to get stuck with that gift card with hundreds of dollars in
just do a small one or something. Yeah, or ask like the best way to figure out anything is always trying it yourself and asking the homies. First try it yourself and then ask the homies. But if you have no homies, you need to start tweeting or start Instagramming so you can build them up over time.
Yeah.
And
what's up?
I was just when you're talking about gift cards, are you talking about like hundreds of dollars for a single gift card or a bunch of like 10 or 20 ones?
Yeah, no, over 100. Yeah, I try and do 300 plus just because it's annoying to
yeah, I was gonna say
yeah. And like, you know, some places only accept like 2-3 gift cards, so like I'll just make sure that I'll Google like how many gift cards does this retailer you know accept, just so I know I'm not gonna get stuck with some. And
sweet. Yeah.
Can you share a specific site where you buy your gift cards from? Or
Card Cash is a big one.
Yeah, just bulk, I assume.
Yeah, they'll have a bulk rep reach out to you if you order like more than 1,000 in an order, and they'll give you like 1 to 2% off if you order through that bulk representative. And
sweet. Super good tips on finding profitable items. Garrett, do you know what else helps you find profitable items?
Looking.
No, well, looking and SellerAmp, the sponsor of today's episode. So check out the link in the description. Get a free trial if you haven't already. Get a free trial. Do that. Jared got a free trial. Garrett got I got a free trial back in the day. We all use it. You should too. On that, it's a beautiful thing. On that stuff.
Now that Miles completely ruined our flow of the episode.
Bro, no, that was a good attitude. That was a good attitude. What you got? What you got?
Oh yeah, so the discount gift cards, what I like about it is I know like I can get 10% off at a store.
Sorry, continue.
You're good. You're good. So then when I'm like sourcing, like reverse sourcing or whatever, and I see the price of something at a store, I don't see like $100 is what I pay for it. I see like minus 10% plus,
Mhm.
you know, any coupons I know at that store, any rewards programs at that store. So kind of like with the coupon thing, you see prices differently when you know for a fact you can get it 10%, 20% cheaper. So
You sound like a loyal Miles disciple, because that's something that Miles harps on is
yeah.
memorizing the pertinent
Yeah.
discount
Mhm.
codes and always kind of doing that mental math every single time you look at a product.
Does
Yeah,
Rakuten hit with gift cards?
it does. Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
thought it didn't. Ah, okay, so it does.
So
Yeah,
so
many.
I've heard of people like it not hitting, and I can't remember the exact thing, but like they had to do something with their Google Chrome settings or something um to make it start hitting. So I remember, I don't know if you know Simplify Shopping on Twitter.
Yeah,
So
he's always in my replies telling me to use gift card.
yeah, yes, he's all about gift cards. I can't remember, but he said the exact like things that you have to do if it's not working for you. So try it, see if it works. And if it doesn't, there's something in those Google Chrome settings to switch to where it will work. But yeah, they do work. So plus if you're ordering card cash, like, and if you're not using the bulk person, I mean, you can get Racket in there. It's only like 1%, but yeah.
So you get it on both ends then. When you buy the gift card and when you spend the gift card.
Exactly. Yep.
And you want to make sure you're buying the gift card with the credit card too to get the cash
Yeah,
back
I get that. Yep.
as well.
Spark 2%. Yep.
100%.
Is that the only credit card you use?
I use the Spark and the Amex Gold. Yeah.
Gold? Yeah, gold is super overrated in my opinion. I think the plum's way better.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish I had the Plum
I
instead.
don't exactly. I'm the exact same way. I don't have the plum. I have the gold. Yeah.
Yeah. And like my gold limits aren't that high. Like my Spark limits are higher. My Capital One limits are higher, which I always thought Amex gave you higher limits, but
yeah.
I mean, that's like that's the cliche, like the stereotype.
well, because
okay,
the
yeah.
brand is so good, it makes you want it, even if it's not the best.
Yeah, yep.
Mathematically, the best.
And they give you the physical like gold card that's like heavy and metal.
Yeah,
Yep.
the flex on it. What
Yeah.
I don't get is why, and this doesn't matter, why they put the numbers on the front. Like it hurts the shareability of the card.
That's true. Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah, because then you can't. Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
just, I think it's just about being different, right? Like you see the four numbers on the front.
Yeah, the 4 numbers.
Yeah.
On that stuff. So how has your operation changed 6 months ago, a year ago versus today?
Definitely the categories that I sourced have changed. I've switched to a lot of apparel, a lot of shoes. But then even just the last few months, kind of realizing like the return rates of shoes, you know, and just in general. So like one big thing that I do when I'm replenishing items is before I buy it again, I'll go in Inventory Lab, I'll go to the ASIN profitability, look up that ASIN and see how much I'm actually profiting after refunds from that ASIN, because there's ASINs I think I'm like killing it on, but then the return rate will be like 30%. And I realize like, oh, I'm actually losing money on this ASIN, so I better not buy it again.
And you need a big sample size to get that high. Like bras, I know can be really high, but pretty much any shoe over long enough, it'll be like 15% probably. Oh, over a big sample size.
Yeah, sports
You
bras
have
are
to
really
ROI.
bad.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
What are some of the items that you've seen really, really bad returns on?
Honestly, for me, it's mostly shoes. Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense.
And like,
Yeah,
I
different
know,
styles probably have different comfortabilities. Maybe some run bigger, run
Yeah.
smaller. I mean, that makes sense.
and you have to pay attention to that when you're like testing stuff out. Like, do people expect this to feel different, to fit different? And then like women's shoes in general will be returned more
Makes
than
sense.
men's. They just tend to return more. So, yeah.
And how was your sourcing kind of morphed over the years?
Yeah. At first I was using tactical arbitrage, and that's, and I, you know, I'm not like, I was never a wizard with it. You know, I was just doing product searches, stuff like that. And that's probably why a lot of my stuff tanked, because it was just like surface level stuff. And then I started doing some storefront stocking. And the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I've kind of pivoted away from that to almost entirely manual sourcing. And that's knowing the stores that I really like to source from, that I know I can get gift cards, coupons, that have good rewards programs, that I know they're like sales cycles, you know, they'll have a 20% off sale every 2 weeks or whatever. So focusing on the stores I like, and then when I go to manually source those, I will focus on brands that I know I can sell, that are arbitrageable. And I'll just, you know, click on the brand, manually source through all the items, you know, in that brand, while using that, you know, mental math calculation, knowing the price that I can get, even if it's not what is listed. Let's see. Yeah, so that's basically it. Manually sourcing the retailers that I like and the
you
brands.
you learn the retailer so much better, and you start to see price differences in a way that you wouldn't normally if you hadn't looked at that weekly for 3 months or 6 months.
Exactly. Yeah.
On stuff. And we even have learned like the times some different sales go down, like quarterly and everything, to get a kind of head start. And in that, like, sure, okay, right, let's say the sales hit the last 3 quarters, and who knows, it probably did prior to that, we just weren't doing it that side of it, right? But then, you know, to go extra hard right when it starts, if it does only last for 3 days and they don't say how long it's going, or you know, to look if it is going to be going for 2 weeks, and in that case a shit ton of people are going to find it in that time period, right? So then it might not be as good. Like, I got burned on the Nike sale earlier this year, and there's a Nike sale going on right now. Not when you guys are listening to this, is last week when you guys are listening to this, and it has a time limit on stuff. So then I'm like, that was good. And everything. And definitely in general, like, you want to be hunting down those listings that have multiple or those items that have multiple listings, where the title maybe isn't as clear, because that's going to offset those automation tools, right? TA and such. When you're doing manual, seller amp, stuff like that, you're not going to miss that stuff, because it is going to show up, and you're going to have a chance to capture that profit on those items and such. So what are some like getting nice and tactical for beginners? Like, I know you tweet and such. What are some of the most common things you're helping beginners with, in terms of like little things that maybe would have shortcutted your journey and such like that?
It's a good question. I'd say I'm really big on testing products, like not going deep right away, especially when you're a beginner. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Like, I made so many mistakes where either the product didn't match, it tanked, just stuff like that. So testing 3 to 5 units, or, you know, maybe a few more depending on the price of the product, and seeing how fast it moves, seeing if it tanks, because if you're finding the product at a certain time, it's fairly likely a lot of other people are finding it at that same time.
Especially with sales.
Yeah. So if it doesn't tank after, you know, the turnaround time of FBA, like a month, then you're probably pretty good to start going deeper on it. And do not buy things at full price. You know, I bought stuff at full price. It's just, you never really have to. You can always find some way to make it cheaper. And you talked about with those like sales, that, you know, the timing of different sales. Sometimes I will manually, you know, source that store when there's not a sale, to know what I want to buy when the sale hits right away, so I don't have to like rush when they do have that sale.
I like that. Yeah. And anyway, it's just good to get the reps in and shit, man. You know, like, it's like everyone who has success with this spent a lot of time not having success with it. You know, like, it's so ironic that the only way to get good is to be bad for a while. And sure, there's ways to do it quicker and such, but it's like, we're not good for a while until you get good. But most people don't want to be good for a while, don't want to be bad for a while, and that's why they never get good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the general principle of life, not
Exactly.
necessarily
Well, no, definitely. I completely agree on stuff. And everything. And how are you repricing?
Be cool. Yeah. I use AI Sales Booster.
Oh, just like it. Okay, cool. Nice and simple. It's probably time to go. I need to build some rules and shit in mind too, to be honest.
Yeah. I you know, either reset my minimums, or, you know, probably like every 2 or 3 days. And that's also just to catch new ASINs, you know, that I'm adding. And I base the minimums basically off of the Keepa, you know, like that baseline
Not off the ROI. Not off
Correct.
the ROI.
Yeah, correct.
Good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I knew your answer on that, but in general, people are tank stuff like crazy. They're so worried about getting getting a minimum 20% ROI when they were making 60% ROI, and they would be able to sell that item for the next 6 months, but not if they trigger everyone else on it.
Yep. Yeah. I do not want to trigger tanking. I've done that a few times before, at first setting my minimums too low, and not great.
Yeah, testing is huge, right? Not only for the reasons you mentioned, right? But we can go through all of our checks and balances and really think it's a good product. But at the end of the day, we need to test the buy box algorithm more than anything, right? It's not always a guarantee that we're going to get our share, the share that we expected and the sales that we expected.
Yeah.
Right. So going 20, 30, 10 deep really takes that sort of algorithm for a test ride and makes sure and ensures that we can get a portion of the pie. Right. Because I come across listings all the time where there's 10, 15 people in the buy box rotation, but then 30 people on the listing that are priced competitively. Like I see that all the time.
Yeah. And they're not getting the sales. Yeah. Okay.
And it could be
a reason, right? Location or stock or account health, whatever that reason is, it's not always obvious.
Yeah, guys, for those of you guys listening, the data buy box stats on Keepa is really important. It shows you to what price point and what percentage each of the sales are going to. It's a really good indication. And sometimes super quick selling stuff, you'll see the buy box is way above the lowest third-party FBA or just in general, and that could be that's ours in FC transfer or whatever reason on stuff. So it's a good idea to, in terms of getting a vibe on pricing on stuff, be looking at the buy box stats. And it's even looking deeper. If you look at like a lot of toys and such, if you go to the buy box stats and do the 180-day view and see the pricing, then do the 365-day pricing, the pricing skyrockets because you're seeing all the Q4 buy box share price averages in there as well on stuff. Is pretty interesting on that. Let's talk about Twitter. Why'd you start tweeting? Have you found value making friends, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I made my Twitter like a year ago or something when I started on Amazon, but I really started tweeting a lot more after our call. You're like, dude, just tweet more, and I kind of like tried to make sure I was tweeting consistently, starting like June or something. And probably the biggest ROI of like anything in my Amazon business, coaching, both consulting calls, with you, Oliver Flips, I've talked with Steve French, like that's all been super worth it. But also
that guy's awesome, Steve. I don't know how. I've been literally talking to him for a year about coming on. He and his wife are fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. He's awesome. But then the other biggest ROI thing is that making connections with people on Twitter, just like hopping on Zoom calls, bouncing ideas off each other. Like I've learned so much just from those things, because you're going to learn stuff from other people that you can't Google,
Not Google. Yeah. And it's the trust thing in that you're building every tweet, you're building a little part of your resume, and it's all like, informal, decentralized, whatever on that stuff, which is like obviously the way it should be. And you just find the people that you think with, you vibe with, like you have similar personalities, whatever, you just become friends and you end up talking about so much more of this stuff. It's positive indoctrination, things come up. You work collectively on different stuff, and it's worked so well for us, obviously, being that we have the podcast and then you coming on the podcast, sharing new ideas, and that's beautiful. And if you're listening to this and you're I'm a lone wolf, or I don't know if I have what to say, scroll back to 2019. I posted the day I got my first sale on stuff. The person that's doing something is just as interesting as the person who's already done it, and maybe arguably more interesting on stuff because you're more relatable. Right? On that stuff. So I'm sure you have something useful to say. Start even trying, because it costs you nothing and it has unlimited upside and zero.
At first, like I'd always be scared of tweeting. I'd be like, oh, what if I say something wrong, or like I don't make any sense, or like it's confusing and stuff. And now like just no filter, just tweet. Like who cares if there's typos or whatever, just like tweet it.
Oh, the typo guys are the fucking worst. Like I'm sitting here typing. There's always the one guy, and this one guy was in my DMs asking questions like crazy, and then he replied to 2 of my tweets like correcting the spelling. One, I appreciate the engagement on stuff, but like, dude, like
who cares?
Got things you can do with it.
Is that the one you said ratio to?
Yes. Yeah, and like he seems like a decent guy, but I did ratio him on that, but on that, which is cool on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing some eBay too. I saw you had just tweeted about that.
Yeah, honestly, I've just started trying to liquidate like returns and stuff, that unfulfillable returns that come back. I've
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So I figured it was time to start getting rid of that stuff. Yeah, make a little money back on it. So
Sounds good on
And
that.
so in terms of goals for next year, what do you have a sales number you're shooting for? Or what's the next steps for you?
Yeah, so I'm looking at possibly starting to try to get into wholesale kind of after Q4. I talk a lot with like Devin Davies, and he's getting really into wholesale, and like just hearing him talk about it, like it gets me kind of wanting to get into that. And let's see, in terms of numbers, I want to get my OA business to essentially like a lot more organized and systematized, to where I'm not like all over the place trying to, hunt down ASINs. Like I want to figure out how I can restock things, essentially stay in stock with things. Cause I have trouble. I'll be like, oh shoot, I'm out of stock of this ASIN, have been for 2 weeks. I should have been selling it, for the last 2 weeks. So just staying on top of that stuff. In terms of sales numbers, I like to get 3 mil next year. Sales on Amazon. That's a
wholesale with your own warehouse then, because if that's gonna be a big part of it, you have to go that route then, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, at first I wouldn't do my own warehouse.
Yeah.
I'd use the web center as I'm getting into it, and I'd kind of see where it goes, see what happens, because I'm still going to be doing OA a lot.
Yeah. And like just distribution wise, it makes sense to do it because there'd be so much in the Midwest like coming through there and such.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
cool. So where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's at Jared Kamick.
All right, spell it for the people.
Yeah, so Jared is Jared, and then the last name is Kmiecick. Yeah. And that's also me on Instagram. I made an Instagram. Haven't really done much, but yeah.
I think
gonna be on there.
So. Definitely have to follow you on that. Cool. That was great, man. Thank you. On that. Thanks to everyone for listening too. Anything else? Jared, anything?
Go with me.
Cool.
No, I just say like if you're just starting out and you're buying products, going back with that testing thing, you're not just like trying to make profit. You're buying data, you're buying experience, you're buying like lessons learned. So like see everything as a lesson learned, as a learning experience, and like you can't fail that way. So
that's it. That's a good way to end.
Cool.
Miles, shout out to Teleramp.
Yes, sir. Get a free trial, boys and girls. Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.